This is the original eSport racing game. This is iRacing.
Live tonight for the virtual Las Vegas Motor Speedway, we say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to LSR TV's coverage of tonight's Salute to Veterans 225, benefiting the Gary Sinise Foundation and put on by our friends at Fast Forward Esports. We're happy that you're with us here on your home for sim racing and the iRacing Esports Network as we get set for some exciting race to benefit charity on a Wednesday night here on your home for sim racing and the iRacing Esports Network. It's Evan Pasoko, Justin Prince upstairs with you, along with our producer Randy Chennett, Twisted and Tweaking at Isles, and Justin, happy to be with you on a Wednesday night for a good cause as we get set as well for some good racing on deck tonight. 150 laps, 225 miles in this special event.
Absolutely, it's going to be with the Xfinity cars this evening here at the beautiful Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And with these Xfinity cars, it's a good balance between difficulty with throttle control and brake input, as well as the battle to balance the race car and make sure you don't spin, such as that machine. It's going to be an interesting race tonight, but as you said, it's all for a good cause. Already $230 raised for charity, plus $145 as well given to the race competitors for tonight in the prize pool.
And those competitors going to put on quite a show. Some big names right now working through a 10-minute qualifying session as top 17 cars have put down a time. There's your current leaderboard, and about 2 minutes and 30 seconds or so left until those times will be locked in, and we'll get set to go race it. As I mentioned, 150 laps in this 225 miler. These drivers are using the NASCAR Xfinity Series cars in this race, just at a full fuel and fixed setups as well this evening. Means that really it's going to come down to the driver making a difference. And, you know, there are some drivers racing with us this evening that you've seen before on LSR TV, drivers from our Monday night coverage. There's some other familiar iRacing names as well, along with the regulars in some of Fast Forward Esports' other series. In the past, they've run Truck Series as well as the Cadillac Road Series. Some of those names as well participating this evening. So it'll be interesting to see how those familiar and maybe unfamiliar names mix with each other on the racetrack.
Absolutely, there's at least 5-6 drivers minimum that might have a chance to take home the victory tonight. Guys such as the Aegis drivers of Andrew Freenosh, Danny Lee Everhart, Kyle Kamer, among many other of the team competitors. Galen Gidman, he's one of the top drivers from Fast Forward Esports. He's someone to watch for tonight. We've also seen other drivers who are military veterans, such as John Furness, a part of tonight's field in the 28 machine. He's one of the main people to watch. And don't forget, we also have Richmond Raceway Esports' own Malik Ray entering in tonight's race. He was in the top 10 in practice, and he's somebody we know is really quick on these type of tracks.
Yeah, always somebody to keep an eye on, and very familiar as well with running around fast in these Xfinity cars. Also a call to the 14th machine tonight of Jade Bell, who's active duty military. All of the drivers competing in this race paying in to contribute to two things. One, the charity pool, and as well the prize pool for the race. So at least as of the start of this race, that prize pool for the drivers competing on track tonight at $145 and the money getting donated to the Gary Sinise Foundation in excess of $230. But for veterans in active duty, those drivers did not have to pay to get into this race, so happy to have them with us in this Salute to Veterans 225. We were talking right before we went on, 225 miles, a pretty hardy race distance for these Xfinity Series cars, Justin, but kind of expecting the strategy once this one gets underway to not be too crazy. Of course, the complexion of the race once it gets underway will really determine how it's going to go tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. It is expected to be a two-stopper for fuel here at this racetrack, about 50 laps a run with this 150-lap distance. But it's going to be the question of, will we keep it green? And it will also come down to who will take home the checkered flag. $87 goes to the race winner tonight.
Qualifying session was drawn to a close. We're ready to set to go racing it in the desert. So let's go trackside and take a look at tonight's LSR TV starting grid. And he'll hold it through from that peak we took a moment ago. Daniel E. Everhart, fastest in the number 90 car. His 30.130 puts him on a pole. And then you'll find that number 21 car for Richard Raceway Esports, Malik Ray, will start in second position. Familiar name for LSR TV viewers, Andrew Ferdinand, starting in third position tonight with Justin Champagne alongside on the outside of row 2. He'll start at fourth position, and sticking with that theme of familiar faces, Dylan Jones will roll from fifth.
Starting in the sixth position, bring out a military paint scheme of the U.S. Army machine. It's Kyle Kamer, one of the Aegis drivers. He'll start in front of the row, featuring Justin Michael and John Furness, one of the quickest cars in all of practice in preparation for tonight. Rounding up the top 10 starting spots is Galen Kidman and Noah Maori in the 10th spot.
Eric Stanford just missed out on that top 10 mark. He's halfway through the drivers who qualified at 11th position, and David Washington will roll from position number 12. Patrick Asper starting 13th this evening. He's right alongside Jake Fromke in the number 14 spot. Behind him, you'll find Rocky Boyd the third in 15th.
Darren Cole starts off in 16th tonight after a 33.60 in qualifying. He'll start in front of Jade Bell, along with Zishan and Diora. Robert Montgomery starts in the 19th position. He'll drive the Valvoline Ford Mustang, and Emmanuel Wolf rounds out the top 20.
And then to put a bow tie on this, the final car to take a time to qualify, it'll be Paul Turner. So he'll roll off at a number 21 spot. If he's able to make it to the grid, then provisionals from here on back. Shane Parrish, 22nd. Oscar Jensen in 23rd. Tony Boyd in the number 24 spot. And it would be Troy Smith in 25th. For the look top to bottom at your LSR TV starting grid, let's talk more about this virtual Las Vegas Motor Speedway. 1.5 miles in length with progressively banked corners. 12 degrees on the bottom, 20 up top, and I may be biased because it's just down the road, but it is one of my favorite intermediate racetracks, not only to watch races from, but as well to drive in. And it's a point that you made at the top of the night, Justin, these Xfinity Series car right now, some of the funnest on the service.
Yeah, I don't blame you for loving this kind of a racetrack. I kind of love it too here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. There's the chance we see multiple lines maybe develop as the night goes on, especially in the mid-run. And it's going to be curious to see who's also going to be able to save their tires, because here's the thing when it comes to a looser fixed setup. When it comes to these type of cars, Evan, that usually means you burn the right rear off quicker, meaning there's a chance you get loose, especially off turn 4. We've seen that even with cars in qualifying. As we kicked off the start of the broadcast tonight, it's going to be interesting to see who's able to keep the right rear tires cool and push themselves forward to the front.
Certainly some hot summer weather today here at the virtual Las Vegas Motor Speedway. 109 degrees trackside as the pace car hits pit road. As always, we're happy that you're spending a Wednesday night with us at LSR TV and the iRacing Esports Network. Let's go racing, and let's raise some money for a good cause. Green flag in the air from Vegas. We're racing in the Salute to Veterans 225.
And a really good launch up to the gears, especially on that outside line from Ray. And I think Freenosh already knows he also got himself a good start in that 88 machine, already trying to follow the draft of Ray on the top side.
First time down the Nellis straightaway and into turn 3, side by side, still for the race lead as Ferdinand takes over third and marches on from behind. Eberhard and Donati on the inside, almost cleared that time at a 4, but Malik Ray is going to fight him right back. Your pole sitter does lead lap number 1, but the 21 Super on the outside is not going anywhere. He'll look for the advantage now in the center of 1 and 2 as Eberhard's going to navigate the bumps down on the inside.
And we got one car bumping against the fence. Dylan C. Jones able to keep it straight, though, as he damaged his right side.
And lost a lot of time as he got up into the fence, hit it on the quarter exit. The 38 machine of Justin Champagne was able to get by. So does Michael Kamer, and looks like Furnace as well. All those drivers teaming up on him as the fight for the lead continues. Still Eberhard edging out the advantage at the start-finish line, but I feel like Malik Ray is in the best position top side, and he will clear at a turn 2. Malik Ray goes to the race lead at lap number 3.
And you've seen the difference between the bottom line and where Malik Ray was able to go on that middle groove. Able to hold the throttle a bit more on that outside line, especially corner exit, ramp it down. That helps Eberhard, for example, defend for second position. I wouldn't be surprised to see most of the drivers run one lane up from the white line in 1 and 2 because of those bumps you referred to, because that in turn could either force you sideways or force you to check up.
And your top 3 single file out now as Ferdinand tries to set his sights on Eberhard. Maybe a battle for second position at this end of the racetrack. You can see those drivers really hunking it down all the way to the white line. And Eberhard that time so close to the outside wall. These drivers using every single inch of the racetrack. More fighting back to back here. You're watching a fight for 8th on back. Dylan C. Jones on the bottom line trying to complete a pass on the number 33 machine of Noah Maori. And that 33 car is going to get the better hand that time at the outside in 1 and 2. It'll bring Galen Gidbid with him also. So bottom of the racetrack, not a ton of grip down there. David Washington, another car tucking in line.
Yeah, and you can see right in the backdrop, Dylan C. Jones is really struggling now, especially with that aerodynamic damage on the right side. That's forcing him backwards. But I think at this point, we're already seeing a kind of a strategy forming up. A preferred line, rather, of stay above that one line up above the white seam in turns 1 and 2, go to the seam into the white line in turns 3 and 4, because there's a chance you can do what Justin Michael's trying to do.
And try to make this battle side by side as Michael trying to make a move on Justin Champagne. It's for 4th and 5th, and he has done it. So Michael on the move early in this one. Took to the grid from P7. He took away 4th there, but the 38 car's not done. He's too tight. Pushes up the hill, and now behind him another car almost into the outside wall. It was John Furnace in the 28. So everybody getting on it now as we're fighting for the race lead. Eberhard to the inside array. Ferdinand looking on the inside as well. It's a 3-car dance for the top spot.
And last time Ray was able to get the higher line on that 90, he tried to squeeze down. This time he's just going to give it up.
Yeah, way up above that second seam of the racetrack. No speed up there. So Eberhard will go back to the race lead. Still with the 88 of Fridage on his bumper. Now peeking to the inside in turns 3 and 4. Malik Ray trying to conserve this race car maybe. And let these two duke it out amongst themselves. Only 8 laps going to be complete though. This time by ton of action early. 24 cars able to take the green flag. And so far all of them on the racetrack. Although we've seen a couple of close calls with a few different drivers getting up into the fence in the early going here.
Yeah, more so off of turn 2. Everyone else has been able to keep it much more stable compared to practice in turns 3 and 4 on corner exits. At that time, you've seen one car's in trouble in the back.
And a spin on the outside in 3 and 4. Looks like Noah Maori is going to hang on to it for now in that Ford Mustang. He was way off the pace, and that one was courtesy of some contact. As we take a look at the LSR TV replay, you'll see this battle between Maori and Fromke for 8th and 9th position. Down the back straightaway they go, and watch this, maybe a little bit of a late turn in there for the 63. Loosened up the 33 of Maori, and he did a great job to save that race car. We go back live now, and you can see the battle that he's enthralled in mid-pack.
I was about to get right to that gaggle before that contact, where it seemed like Maori wasn't tried to arc it a little bit differently compared to the car underneath. Now it's a hornet's nest. There is at least 10 cars or so within about a 2-second gap, all in this stretch of race cars, and this is going to make it difficult, not just to get yourself back in a rhythm and cool down the tires that you might have just buzzed, but also it's going to get your heart rate a little bit higher up, because there's a lot of drivers that are starting to get loose, like Montgomery.
Oh, he's sideways. He'll go up into the outside wall. Montgomery now down into the grass on the front straightaway. That car is going to make it almost all the way to pit road. Again, no caution, and we stay green. Here's the onboard shot. You'll see what happened. Outside line, just sideways. In a side-by-side battle with a 25 car of Boyd. Nobody touched him when he spun or when he came back down across the racetrack.
And remember what I mentioned, you had to be careful on the throttle with the looser car? That time, he drifted it all the way through turn number 4 to be able to slide into the grass. And now the top 3 battle is heating on up as they pass right by Montgomery, as you see on board here with Ray, dealing with the bumps. And he's getting, right now this top 3 is seeing what they want behind them. 2 seconds back, the fight is continuing on for 4th.
Yeah, the 4th place fight is one of the better ones. Top 10 right now. You can see the 5 car. Kyle Kamer almost was all the way clear at Justin Michael, but he got sideways. And the 87 car, more stable on the outside, is able to defend 4th for the moment. Was just about to mention as well that those top 3, well, yes, they're putting on a show battling. They've continued to pull away from everybody else. Now almost 2.5 seconds ahead of this battle for 4th on a back that simmers down for just a moment. The 86 car, Patrick Gasper, losing a big run that time to the back straightaway. So the likes of Fromke and looks like Dylan Jones being able to get around him. More cars now struggling on the front straightaway, really slow on the inside line. Oh, and a wrecker now up and over. Big issues and a huge wreck for it looked like. Was it Montgomery? No, Bell is in it as well, though.
Rocky Boyd III is the car that ended up and over. And it was getting very, very nuts in the past lap or so. Cars were getting loose on the aprons. And this time, Boyd, he ends up shooting up because right above him, 2 cars made contact, including one with the outside wall. And just the amount of momentum just flips him on over. You'll see it right here. 1 car up on the top side gets loose. Door bangs the one in the middle. That's Jake Bell getting loose. Patrick Gasper is the one who ends up accidentally hitting to Boyd the third. And up and over goes Boyd.
Yeah, it really started with Gasper getting sideways, losing time, forced to 3 wide, and I think that made the 14 Bell modify his line. You'll see that dark green car on the inside there on the apron. He gets sideways, so everybody else kind of has to scatter to get up and around him, and I think that's what put the 14 at a tricky spot. You can't really turn that wheel or unwind that wheel back to the right on quarter exit and then reel her back in. And he gets sideways, comes down, and it was a big mess from that point. You saw the onboard shot with a flip there from Rocky Boyd. The other driver involved was Jade Bell, and a pretty close call for the other ones. There's the 14 Bell, get it into the outside wall, and we are under our first caution flag of the afternoon of racing. So obviously those that are damaged are going to be in, but all of your race leaders down pit road, and they're led by the 88 car of Andrew Ferdinand.
I think the cars in the mid-pack on back are saying, thank goodness, because they were getting scary loose. As I mentioned at the start of that incident replay, there were cars getting loose on the apron. There were cars checking up in the middle of the front stretch because they're getting so loose. Cars like Gidman. We've seen Michael get loose. And now we have just seen the 90 overshoot his pit box by about a couple tenths.
Well, that's a self-inflicted error that you can't really afford to make for all of the race leaders that are in and out. They're going to go 4 tires and fuel. Race off of pit road. You'll see the 88 car pretty handily by 2 car lengths. Stay atop of Malik Ray, who gets ahead of Everhart. So does Kamer. So Daniel Everhart came down to the pit lane second. Looks like he'll come off 4th in line. Behind him, Stanford to round out the top 5.
And I'm kind of curious to see how these two fight, because we know how Freenash can drive with the experience in the Full Throttle Real Sim Racing Cup Series. Somebody that likes to save tires throughout an entire run and force the driver behind them to overwork their equipment. Compare that to Malik Ray. When you think back to even before his experience in the 2019 eNASCAR Pekin and Freeze iRacing Series. Somebody who would be fairly aggressive and could get up to the field very quickly and then find different ways to make passes work, especially as we've seen sometimes on the outside line in the short run. I'm curious to see how these two drivers battle as they're going to be in the front row for this upcoming restart.
And we'll see how much importance they put on getting out of the gate early in this one. A couple more of the lapped cars now will come down to the pit lane this time. Let's go out on top of the pace car. We will get set for a restart. So as noted, Ferdinand Ray, your front row. Kamer, Eberhardt, Stanford, the top 5. Of course, that full running order going across the top of your screen. But you can see that Andrew Ferdinand with only now 4 laps led to his name. He was actually in the fight still for the race lead, side by side with the Donnie of Eberhardt when that caution flag actually came out. So he never completed the pass, but he had a nose in front when the yellow flag flew, and that'll give him the control car positioning for this restart. Also, for housekeeping notes, Jade Bell going to be given an end of the longest line penalty. So you can drop that car down in 22nd position already, and with damage from the incident. We'll be restarting it at the tail end of the field anyways. It's not too much of a shuffle in the running order there. This restart will come 18 laps down. Still a long way to go from Las Vegas in tonight's Salute to Veterans 225. Early yellow really didn't change the pit strategy all that much. But these race cars were really a big handful 10 to 15 laps into the run. We'll see if that continues on these hot, slick conditions in the middle of the Mojave. The pace car down it in. Let's see what the 88 machine's got. Is it'll be his field to control it at turn number 4. Green flag in the air. We're back at it.
Good launch for the top 10, but they're 3 wide of the back of the field already. Thankfully, they get sorted back out, but it looks like Freenosh wants the top. He's going to get Kamer the bottom.
The 5-car Kamer on the bottom of the racetrack, and a good restart behind him. He'll challenge now for the race lead as Malik Ray picks the 5-car on the bottom. They'll almost push each other down the back straightaway, side by side for the race lead in 3 and 4. And leaning on each other there as Kamer tries to wrestle it away for the 88 car.
And remember, those are 2 teammates side by side for the race lead for ages. But at this point, I think Ray knows Freenosh is faster, especially with what they can do in the middle. The thing is, Freenosh is trying to side draft him in the corners.
And the 88 pinched down on the 5 the last lap, so this time Kyle Kamer pushed up on him to return the favor in 1 and 2. Still equal in this fight now into 3 and 4. You can see the 88 enter on the door, but swing high as they go off the corner. Not the best exit for Malik Ray. That'll open a door for Eric Stanford in 4th to die to the inside. So 2 sets of 2x2 fighting for the race lead and for 3rd behind as Ferdinand now clears in corner 2.
And I'm curious what Ray does here, especially in 3 and 4, because he had to check up hard last time by on that outside line. If he can't make a pass work, he's going to be swallowed up potentially by all the cars behind him.
He's got nowhere to go right now, but when the 5 dives to the apron, the outside's got some breathing room. So Malik Ray finds himself on the outside of the 5 of Kamer. He wanted that lane. He's got it. We'll see if that super can hold suit, and it does. So very quickly, Malik Ray moves into 2nd position, and Kyle Kamer might be pinched down here now. Look at the line of cars on the outside, spearheaded by the 20 of Stanford, who he fights with right now for 3rd. That 20 car is going to win out at a turn 4.
And this is, again, kind of like what we've seen with, if you remember back to the 750 horsepower version of the Cup cars prior to the 2019 season, where after about 3 laps, the preferred line kind of shifts quickly from the bottom to about the middle to top line, just about, or vice versa at a lot of the racetracks. We're seeing that right now tonight already with this race, with that middle line taking only 2 laps to get enough grip for drivers to just breeze on by.
And with the 90 lineup there as well, we mentioned Eberhardt lost a couple of spots in the exchange on pit road. He certainly wants to find his way through before maybe Ferdinand and Malik Ray could pull away once more. Again, he was part of that trio that had a very good opening stint in this race, but didn't have a lot of space to work with, stuck behind the 19. He tried to peek out to his outside. It's just not going to happen as that 19 car of Washington holds serve on the outside line of the racetrack. So a bit of separation up front. Ferdinand, Ray, and Stanford, your top 3. 5-car Kamer remains one of the busier cars on track, as now both of those cars topside complete their pass.
Yeah, he's 2/10 off the pace at the moment compared to some of the others. but keep an eye on, say, Michael's line. We've seen so many times with these type of cars, you can ramp it on down from that top line. Michael's trying to get it to grip up early. Well, it looks like Washington is starting to let by some of his teammates go.
Yeah, he will. So that'll shuffle up the running order a tad bit here with the number 90 car getting atop of David Washington, who will give him the assist down into turn one. Good healthy shot to the bumper there to push him off and away. The 87 car is way up in the dirty stuff. That's Justin Michael, the black and orange Toyota. That really didn't do him much serve. I'm actually surprised he didn't lose more time in that, but you get up and out of the groove, not a lot up there to work with.
Here's the thing, I think he's trying to get the rubber planted down there at least to make it a viable line. It may be a bit too early to try it, Evan, but I like what I'm seeing. Meanwhile, battle for the lead.
They just put it around a lap car, and it's Malik right now to the inside of the 88. Let's see how these two drivers go door to door after we saw Frinaj do it off for the restart with the teammate car. Trying to get through the field here. The 21 has the advantage, a half a car length better. Malik Ray's made most of his passes this evening on the outside line, but the bottom working for him at the moment. Frinaj will hold strong, pretty much still plastered on the number on the right-hand side of that Richmond Raceway Esports Toyota. And you can see the 21 leaning up at the 88 car, trying to take that line away a little bit from him and crowd him topside.
A little bit of a bobble that time from Ray off the corner. Something has to get between these cars eventually, though. And it looks like Ray gonna get by the front bumper for the apex.
He's got him at a turn 4. Back to the race lead is Malik Ray. So he'll reassume the number 1 position. His laps led counter now grows to 6. So over the opening 29 laps of this one, had a couple of different drivers who have got some laps led so far to this point, pretty equidistant up at the front of the field. The 88 car is not going to back off, but what I'm really interested in is the fight for second spot, because here comes Eberhard. As I mentioned, he was the third car, or at least one of the 3 cars in that trio that fought for the race lead at the start of this, but he's had to pass 4 race cars to get to this spot right now since the restart. He takes third from Stanford at the line. Then he'll try to clear the number 20 car before those top 2 in front totally check out on him.
And Stanford right now is really losing some time. Eberhard is also struggling on those bumps on the lower line you talked about. At this point, I think he needs to get on clear. Finally does so here. Now he's got to focus on just closing up, drafting up the back end of Frinaj, and hope he can keep up the time. Right now, last time by, he lost 2/10 on the top 2.
And he can't afford that. This time by, the interval is going to go down by about another 1/10 of a second as he falls to 0.731 off of them, but he has cleared the 20. So if Malik Ray and Andrew Frinaj were to start battling side by side again, that would certainly assist him in closing the gap, and we'll see if he's going to be able to do it pretty much on his own. Take a look at the 15 of Emmanuel Wolf, who started 20th position in this race, but is up to P8 right now, funnied with another big mover, Shane Parrish, who has gone 22nd to 9th. So both of these cars have made their way past the half the field already.
And I find it a little bit impressive there with Whoop, because he's doing it with that crushed right front from the first caution of the race. And now they're going to have to deal with Michael, who's dancing around the corners.
The 87 car really struggled that time in turn number 2. He's just been awkward in the line, got sideways, and was able to hang on to it. So Wolf going to go down to the inside, but he's sideways also. Look out! The 18 car is going to get a shot, and somehow we're going to hang on as we go 3 wide at the start-finish line. It all started with that bobble from Michael. Wolf went to the inside line. He got sideways, and then it was Shane Parrish who got hit by Galen Gidman trying to get around him. All sorts of craziness. As you'll get a second look at it here. Watch for the car to break loose as it comes at a 4.
Yeah, you can see just hit the gas too hard, and it not only got him loose, it got Parrish arrow loose. He nearly bobbled right into his back bumper in that situation. That is very difficult to keep it on going, because usually if you're the second or third car, when someone gets loose like that, you're the one who might be going around.
Yeah, that's very good driving by all of those drivers in a chaotic situation to try to make the best of it. And luckily, all of those race cars are still on the racetrack to live to fight another lap. The battling's not done in this group. You see the gray car up on the outside. That is the 11 of Darren Cole. He'll lose some speed out of 4. And let's go 3 wide again. Furnace to the middle. Wolf on the very inside, who is still sideways in that blue and white Ford Mustang. And it looks like that Cole's going to drop out of it on the outside line. The 15 still can't get his legs underneath him. And John Furnace going to lead Dylan Jones through the middle line.
This is around the point last run where we've seen the cars get loose near some contact. Wolf nearly hit Jensen in the door. And now Wolf's got a major problem. He has absolutely cooked the right rear tire on his 15 car and has lost tons of ground on this battle.
He's really struggling now as the battle runs away in front of him with the 28 machine of Furnace on the outside and Dylan Jones at the bottom of the racetrack. Both of these cars started top 10 and almost a spinner in front. It's Justin Michael who got sideways. No yellow, and we stay green as he lost traction into 1 and 2.
And I think he said, you know what? I don't want to wreck the field. Might have pulled the ejector seat. You're going to see here again, he tried to get the top line working, carrying more speed. The problem is, I think in turn, he might have overcooked the tires because in turn, that was burning a lot of the right rear, ends up bobbing loose, then rips the cord right about here, pulls off the racetrack, and he's off the circuit and out of the race. As the top 2, meanwhile, they're currently nice and calm in the 31.9 still. That is about near 2 seconds of fall off already.
And despite the fact that they're really falling off, so it goes to show you race leaders aren't just magically immune to the tire wear, they just know how to work it. As very experienced drivers, quite literally professional drivers. In the case of Malik Ray, Andrew Friedage, a favorite for maybe to win the Full Throttle Cup this upcoming Monday night here on LSR TV and the iRacing Esports Network. Those are big names.
Parrish in the wall. Parrish just bounced off the wall and collected the 28 for the caution.
Furnace will be the one who spins into the outside wall, and there is our second caution of the night. Let's take a look at the LSR TV replay. Watch the 18 of Shane Parrish. He's going to go side by side with Jones. Just get sideways off of the corner. He doesn't want to spin down into the 23. Watch, he'll start creeping down. So what he does is he overcorrects it. Goes up into the outside wall there. But he comes down and really just takes all the lane away from Furnace, who takes an aggressive dive to the inside. But he made contact with them, spun it around, and that was a hard hit into the outside wall for Furnace, who would have gained 11 spots.
Yeah, he had already had left side damage from earlier on, but that hard hit might take him out of the contention for the race victory. You'll see this on board. He's following on behind, sees the car starting to bobble, tries to make his way to the middle line to get around, but it's just a touch too late. Nowhere for him to go. Able to lock it up. Just too much speed, though, to keep it off the wall while doing so.
The race leaders are back down to pit road. I don't think we're going to see any deviance on the strategy from what we saw the first time, but we did see a lot of position swap out top 5 based on execution into the box. So let's see if your top 5 cars can all get in clean. Friedage first, slides it a little deep, but is inside of the pit box. You'll see the right sides on these cars go up first. Look like the 38 of Champagne. We've overdrove his box a tad bit. Now the crew's going to go over. The left sides will get jacked up. 4 tires and fuel for everybody. And on the race off of pit road, Friedage, no, it's Ray on the inside. Malik Ray by inches wins the race off of pit road.
Yeah, that, you can say what you want about the first pit box. It's a decent distance, though, all the way to the green cone. Eberhardt had the first jump, but Friedage and Ray, a heck of a battle to get that control car position once again and get themselves a bit of clean air. Thing is, though, with these Xfinity cars we've seen throughout the entire race so far with this fixed set, the top drivers cannot pull away because they've been dead even in racing lines as well as in speed all race long, regardless of the point of the run.
That'll shuffle up the running order again. Malik Ray now assuming the #1 position, but it is still those familiar faces, and I think Daniel Eberhardt I mean, he was no more than a half a car length off from actually winning that race off the pit road. But I think the money line Ford Mustang just happened to not lose anything on that exchange. He'll maintain his top 3. He actually was running down those top 2 when that caution flag came out. So now he won't have to work through the field, Justin, because he'll restart right alongside them. Let's talk a little bit more about tonight's race, the Salute to Veterans 225 and the Gary Sinise Foundation, which tonight's race is benefiting. The Gary Sinise Foundation was established to provide services to active duty veterans, first responders, and their families. The programs offered by the foundation were conceptualized by Mr. Sinise through personal relationships he had with friends in the military and first responder community. Mr. Sinise has spearheaded the effort to give care and show gratitude to those who keep us safe.
Yeah, the Foundation's RISE program, which is the Restoring Independence Supporting Empowerment program, provides disabled veterans with mortgage-free, customized smart homes, for example. These homes are tailor-made to meet disabled veterans' needs according to their specific injuries in order to give them the means to care for themselves in the most effective manner possible, with home modifications such as ramps, elevators, counters, and shelf height, as well as special vehicles for ease and mobility, as just a few of the features a part of the program.
Moreover, the foundation organizes events such as the Snowball Express. That's an annual 5-day experience at Walt Disney World resorts for veterans and their families, and Invisible Spirit Festivals, which are basically day-long celebrations at our nation's military medical centers to show gratitude to both veterans in care and the hospital staff who take care of them.
Additionally, the foundation also sponsors and hosts concerts by the Lieutenant Dan Band, with retreats for disabled and traumatized veterans and first responders, as well as arts and entertainment community outreach events.
Doing this event with our friends at Fast Forward Esports, who are glad to support the Gary Sinise Foundation because, while we can never adequately give back to our veterans for their invaluable service they have paid on our behalf, we can show a modicum of gratitude by paying it forward to make their burdens a little less heavy, and you can join us in supporting such an intrepid cause. Again, tonight's race benefiting directly the Gary Sinise Foundation. We mentioned off at the top more than $200 raised from this event for the foundation, and we mentioned it at the very top, but also did want to give another tip of the cap to both the 14 of Jade Bell, who is active duty military, and John Ferguson, the 28 tonight, who's a veteran. I want to welcome both of those drivers specifically into this race tonight. Happy to have them with us, and so thankful for their service. The racing, though, tonight as well has been a ton of fun, and we've got a lot more coming at you right here, right now. Pace car dropping it back and away. This restart will come with 108 laps to go still from Las Vegas. It is Malik Ray's turn to lead us to the green flag, and the 21 car checks out.
And that was a bad start about rows 4 on back. You can see everybody fanning out. Half the field just fell asleep waiting to the restart zone. And now they're already mostly single file in part as they start to stack up behind Kamer.
You can see the only side-by-side really had the 20 machine up towards the front of the field. That was Stanford, and the 23 at Jones as now more battling finds itself in the back of the pack. But that 20 car awfully close quarters with a 5 at Kamer. Looks like Kamer wins out still for 4th position. If one of these cars, P4 on the back, wants to crack the big 3 tonight, you're going to need better restarts. Side-by-side is only allowing those top 3 to pull away a bit.
Yeah, by a couple tenths a lap. No matter how much tire wear it's been, that's been one of the constants. If you've been side by side, the amount of side drafting and the amount of off throttle time and braking you have to do to make sure you don't push up into the car above you or push down into the car below you loses you that much amount of time. It absolutely hurts you big time. And if you're, say, those 2 cars on the outside line behind the side by side, you're thinking, somebody clear somebody. I want to catch up to the leaders.
We talked about at the start of this how exciting these Xfinity Series cars would be. You mentioned the off-throttle time. Big fan of that here at LSR TV. And these guys have certainly been working these cars over. Still fighting 4th on the back, where Kamer tries to hold off Stanford on the outside. Behind him, it's Dylan C. Jones now clearing the 19 to David Washington. That one for 6th and 7th position, but this group has also kind of broken away for the rest of the field. So already top 10 gone off and away pretty good.
Yeah, even with the amount of checking up, it seemed like that almost kind of helped them calm down quick enough to just get quickly into their normal race rhythm and focus on their marks instead of trying to battle with one another. Unfortunately, drivers like Stanford have struggled, it seemed, past 10 lap 10 run. Guys like Dylan C. Jones, they're trying to recover time because remember, Dylan C. Jones had that contact with the outside wall. He's still dealing with front end damage, and it's having a hard time keeping up on the bottom. Hard time trying to make passes to keep up with the top three.
You can see the fight right now with the one machine. Galen Gateman trying to get up on the 23 car in front of him. Dylan C. Jones, those two all-white Chevrolet Camaros fighting. Kind of tail end of this I said top 10, really top 8 were the drivers who were able to get away off pretty good on the restart, ninth at the back of it, a 2-second difference up to the race leaders. But, I mean, single file, look at the 19 machine. I mean, he's pushing Stanford all the way through quarter ranks and a little bit hairy, and now fighting for the lead. As for the second time tonight, you see him way up the banking. Malik Ray goes to that high line, sticks the hand out the window net, and kind of gives up the race lead. It's Farinaj now to the point, and Everhart kind of assumes second just by following him through.
It almost feels like Ray, in part, wants to just keep it calm, knows that the drivers behind him want to fight and have a little bit of the same speed, if not dead even or a slight touch faster, and thinking, may as well let them do the work, then pass on by them on the long run and focus from there. Right now, I think one of the main things with Ray I've noticed in his career is he's done this a couple times where he wants to have fun while being competitive at the same time. He's gone to the back in some cases, in some series, I have to be honest, and then charged up to the front. He likes to have a challenge rather than just waltzing away with a race lead, if you know what I mean.
Well, we'll see if it ends up being the long con per se. Again, the 21 machine did this same move earlier in the race, dropped the back, and after a couple of laps, went back and kind of re-engaged with your leaders. The thought could be, again, that he doesn't want to eat up those tires. This fight, though, is resumed once more as we see Washington finding his way through Stanford. So they'll kind of break in the P5. I think that's a race high for the 19 machine so far. And looking all the way clear of it now is the 23 of Jones next on deck, trying to pick on Eric Stanford, who's pinned on the bottom line now.
Yeah, and we've seen so many times, while it's been decent in 3 and 4, if you enter high, if you start down low, you just don't have enough speed to be able to launch off the corner or make a pass by Apex. And right now, Stanford, I think if I was him, just give the spot to Gidman, get back in a line, focus from there, and then slowly make your way up. Just don't overwork your equipment by trying to make something work. That's exactly what he does there. Just goes back in the line to focus on the big picture.
And now past 1/3 distance in this race. This is the point that we mentioned off at the top. If it was a race that had gone green the distance, which pretty often does not happen in Xfinity Series cars, but it's always good to note what that strategy is. This would be when we're talking about pit stops, Justin. But now, 10 laps removed from a restart, you're looking at 56 laps to the end of each run. If you were to one-stop it from that restart at lap 42, that's still doable?
Believe so, yes, right now, if the math is right. It is doable, but it's going to be close for the one-stop with that number, because you're essentially saying, again, we went green at about lap 43. That's more than about, say, 110 or so, which is your estimate as you noted with the numbers. It's going to be a bit tight. So if you, say, are in clean air, you're likely burning a little bit more fuel. And that brings up the conversation of guys like Ray and guys like Stanford, who might be saying, let's just draft off behind, maybe save a touch bit to make sure I can get to the end for sure, instead of chugging and running out, say, on the last lap.
And of course, the runs that we've seen to this point haven't really indicated that all of a sudden, in the blink of an eye, we'll go 60 laps, but it's kind of the fun thing about racing is you never know, and you have to be prepared to make any strategy work.
Oh, we got cars crashing in pit road. The 10 just crashed into the pits.
That's Zison Diora, no yellow, as the Tenda machine was down onto pit road. And we'll try to get a second look. That car was actually trying to get down to pit road. It was a very late decision. I don't know if there was damage or what the case was, but the car did try to come down to the pit lane, and You can see, Justin, you want to be down below that bottom scene at least, at the latest, halfway through the corner. It was just way too late of a dive.
Yeah, he powered into the wall it looks like he had some type of mechanical issue or something with the brakes. He was still 126 plus miles an hour into that wall as the lead is now shuffling around. You can see Freenosh at this point wanting that run on the bottom side. They've been going back and forth between him and Eberhardt. Remember, our teammates here between these machines. But at this point, Ray's probably just licking his chops, thinking, let them fight, let them lean on each other, let them burn up their tires, and then I can make a pass before we start to go down the pit lane.
He's got the best seat in the racetrack right now as he watches this battle continue. There's a little bit of lap traffic on the horizon as Emmanuel Wolf, who has had quite the night, he's going to be caught by your race leaders in just a little bit, but on the outside line, Eberhardt does complete the move to the 88 machine.
Grass,
So
Dylan C. Jones. Dylan C. Jones nearly slid his way up into traffic, went all the way through the infield grass.
And the replay will show it here. It was all on his own. He was still kind of teamed up with Galen to get him to go for the onboard here. There's not going to be any contact from behind. What you're seeing is all on its own. The back end just starts to slide. It's already sliding here. You can see how much wheel he gives it, and it goes through the grass. I think the big thing there is he kept it off of pit road, so he's not going to get any sort of a penalty, and did a very good job of blending to back up onto the racetrack.
Yeah, if he fell down that pit road, he's probably done for contention. Instead, with that save, he only lost 2 to 3 positions. So Dylan C. Jones can, if he can just have a couple calm laps, he'll be okay, I think, until the pit window. By the way, the lead has swapped positions. Freenosh was able to drive by with Ray by Eberhardt down the front stretch last time by. So they're going back and forth as who's the lead driver in this drafting chain.
Yeah, as soon as we mentioned that the Donnie machine had successfully held off the 88's charge at the outside, he got right back on him as we were watching Dylan Jones mow the grass on the front straightaway. So for Freenosh, he now assumes the number 1 position, and Malik Ray, who not all that long ago had seemingly voluntarily given up the race lead to drop back to 3rd, is not staying behind Eberhardt. He is re-engaged with the 88 of Andrew Freenosh, and I mean, is running right on that bumper with Eberhardt trailing by a few more car lengths. He'll be able to draft up on him and close the gap a little bit that time in the turn 1 with speeds at 189 miles per hour. And you know, you'd think with Malik Ray, Justin, being that tucked up on the bumper of the 88 car, he's really not getting a ton of draft. I mean, the draft on the straightaways certainly does help, but a lot of the time in the corners, you'll try to stick a half a lane up or a half a lane down to get some air and some downforce to the front of that race car, but looks like Malik Ray can pretty much put that race car where he wants it to make it work.
Yeah, you're taking a look at one of the air battles, for example, here, but you're exactly right when it comes... Here's the thing, though, with Ray. He's been lifting down the front stretch specifically to make sure he doesn't actually get a run. I think he actually is legit lifting about halfway down the straightaway, keeping it at about, say, 184 miles an hour to make sure he doesn't get a run to make a pass, and that way save just a touch bit of fuel each and every lap instead of, say, burning it like Freenosh may be at the head of that field. Honestly, that is a very smart move to think, will I be able to make it to the end of this race? I want to be sure instead of risking it and then having to save it the last run of the night.
21 car peeking to the inside there again, but again, you know, to the point that you made about Malik Ray kind of feathering and lifting off of the throttle on the end of the straights, I don't think he's much concerned about making the pass for the race lead right now. You talk about drivers who reach the top echelons of iRacing at Esports, and the strategy and then the commitment to be able to kind of pace out a race is such a big part of it. And I think the 21 car feels like, if he feels like that Freenosh is giving it 100% right now, or at least close to that, he feels confident in his speed to kind of sit back a little bit, not force the issue. A lot of drivers, you know, if you feel like somebody's got a bit of a bite on you, an edge on you, Justin, you're going to want to make the pass now because you're going to want to put them in the uncomfortable position of having to make a move on you. 21 obviously confident in his speed, as there's a dive to the inside. Freenosh wiggled a lot that time in turn 1.
Thing is, with a bit of that saving, you're not going as quick on the corners. You're not skidding those tires as much as in squealing them, so to speak, in sounds, meaning you're not burning them as quickly, potentially. So Ray might have been knowing about that, tried to use something out of Freenosh's own playbook, where he stays behind the leading car, then tries to get the move done. Then once they get the pass done, that's where we usually see that driver take off and away. Ray right now, I think, has Andrew Freenosh right where he wants him.
He does, and the 88 car is going to be right up against the fence this time, but the move is not going to come. And that last time by, we got through now 65 laps of competition here at Vegas as this race continues to march on. Moves it in on the halfway point. Some more lappers on the horizon, too.
Thing is, though, some of the cars they're about to reach nearly crashed because David Washington tried to start the pit window for the Aegis cars and nearly wrecked while doing so as he hooked to the right and locked up the back brakes with Tony Boyd. We're still green, though, as this is allowing these cars to still fight. So the window is slowly approaching for these cars. As you see, that is Tony Boyd, who was one of the two cars involved in the wreck as they go side by side for the lead.
And Malik Ray is going to go to the inside of Freenosh as drivers seem to want tires before they need fuel, which will shorten up those pit intervals. But it is the number 21 machine of Ray back to the race lead at lap number 68. He looks to lead lap number 22 for him on the afternoon. Eberhard, in fact, totally changing up his line in the 90 car. We've talked a bit about the bumps and how down into 1 and 2 you're going to want to run about a lane up to avoid them. In 3 and 4 drivers a lot more friendly with that white line. You can even see here Malik Ray still going all the way down while Freenosh does abide to the lane up and a 90 car sideways. Eberhard from third spins to the apron. He will save it as there's now a challenge for the race lead also.
Using the lap car as a pick.
And 21 cars sideways there. They were 3 wide with lap traffic. Tony Boyd, and through the middle was Malik Ray, but he couldn't hold her steady. And Freenosh back to the point. What a lap for the race leaders.
3/10 lost by Ray. In that, you see Eberhard lost a lot of time while getting loose. Here's the replay of that. We mentioned the different lines. He's been trying to get clean air. However, there's that lap car in Boyd that starts to take that away in the middle of the corner. He ends up getting loose and just able to save it as the leaders went side by side. Freenosh knew that Boyd was in a tough spot and was able to use him as a pick to give Ray dirty air and force him to be compromised in the entrance of turn 3.
Just when you thought Malik Ray was, seeing the 88 car starting to struggle and was going to run away with this one, it is the Hellman Chevy back on top, and Eberhard with that big scare has dropped way back to the clutches of Galen Gidman, who's at a race high P4 in the number 1 Chevrolet. We talked about him in a couple of battles, top 10, but P4 is the highest I've seen him this evening.
Yeah, and if we can go to that one machine, he has had a roller coaster night too, Evan, because at one point he was close to getting up to his high position. He ended up getting loose on the apron and losing all of his spots. That was a lap before the first caution flag. He was a part of that major checkup with Stanford and company as we got close towards a second incident. And now it seems like he's finally gotten grips with the track. He is right now a couple tenths off the race leaders, yes. But here's the thing. He's in a decent spot as we have a car in the grass.
Spinning on the front, your race leaders are just to the right-hand side, and now to a stop is that wrecked car of Jake Fromke. He will take the penalty to simply drive it to pit road, and you can see that replay. He was all kinds of out of control. We're going to rewind the tape back a little bit further and see what happened. He was a lap down in 13th position, and he did have a lot of damage on the right-hand side, so that tells me he's been in the fence already tonight, and you can see the car twitches. He tries to save it, and then you're just kind of all over the place once it snaps back up the hill. He's spun down the track just after your race leaders had cleared.
Watch this once again, Evan, because I want you to listen here to the rev counter. He was off the throttle the whole time.
Let's listen in as he goes into 3 and 4. Take a listen to it.
And you can see there, it almost looked like he went into the clutch, almost, with where he was going revs. And then it seemed as soon as he went back on the gas, he got too fast on the clutch and just snapped him. He had already hit the wall twice, we already seen on that replay. And that car just absolutely snapped once he started to get back on the gas as he was letting the leaders go.
And that's a trend that we've seen with everybody who gets a little bit out of control, is once that car starts to brake sideways, it's basically impossible to get it back. You just got to roll right out of the throttle like that and hope that you can catch that car, because once it snaps back up, like I said, that thing's going to spin out on its own through the corner anyways. You start swirling around on the corner exit, that is just not going to be something that you're going to be able to recover from. Battle for third is on. That one car, Galen Gidman, continuing to try to march to the front of the field. He's on the inside. There it is. The naughty car of Daniel Eberhardt had the advantage at the start-finish line, but not clear yet as we took cross flags last time by.
Now we're getting towards the point where some of these drivers still are getting to where they need to make sure they get to the one pit stop window. As you said, max about 56. And we already have drivers that are trying to stoppers. David Washington trying to make up time. He just broke up this battle for the next few moments on the fresher tires. It's going to get interesting. Just 12 drivers on the lead lap at this halfway point.
And it looks like the Wonder Machine is going to get the job
car in the back
done.
stretch. 33 just spun around.
Down, and it looks like down all the way to pit road. No, Fromke's on to pit road in a separate situation.
Yeah, this is Maori that ended up having a bit of help, I think, off of turn 2. Wind the tape, he was trying to get around the lap car of Rocky Boyd III and was able to get to the bottom side, but the bumps started pushing him right up to Boyd. He tries to keep it off of Boyd, accidentally taps Boyd III, and he nearly brought up the caution flag.
He may have kept it off the 25. If he did, it wasn't by much, but that car spun. You can see it ends up below the white line, so it doesn't trigger a yellow. He will come down to the pit lane now. What I had caught was Jake Fromke spinning on the front straightaway. We saw that before. He was also kind of moving around on pit road, but is still down there, so he has not returned to the racetrack. So all of this happening as Gidman has completed the pass for P3. And those pit stops are not that far away, so let's take a look top to bottom at our Ford Entertainment Group midway race break. Farinaj in control. He leads the top of Malik Ray, who runs in the number 2 position. Galen Gidman is third, just recently passing Daniel Eberhardt fourth, and Kyle Kamer rounds out your top 5 at the moment. Continuing on through, it is Dylan C. Jones in the number 6 spot. A pretty quiet night for Eric Stanford, who struggled off for the most recent restart, but he's found a home in P7. Your biggest mover, therefore, is Oscar Jensen. He's up 15 to run in position 8. Justin Champagne has trickled down the running order to 9th, and Darren Cole rounds out your top 10.
Yeah, he's getting attacked by cars on fresher tires, but the last car on the lead lap is Shane Parrish in the 11th position, plus 11 from the start. First driver lap down. He started off the pit window, making 2 laps down as David Washington, because remember, he ended up spinning when he tried to come down to open up the window. Paul Turner, he had some trouble in turn 1, in a third of the way in this race. He's recovered to 13th. Noah Maori is in 14th after the spin down the backstretch and the fresh tires. He's cutting through the field with Tony Boyd as well, 2 laps down. He can in fact switch those positions this time by. Emmanuel Wolf rounds out the drivers 2 laps down to 16th position. He's in threat though to go 3 laps down. Behind him is Jade Bell in 7 laps down 17th. Jake Fromke in the pits 9 laps down 18th. Deora is in 19th after a rough race. Rocky Boyd III rounds out the top 20 with no hood.
And the rest of these drivers, multiple laps down, and I think they are all out of it. Yeah, they are all behind the wall. So John Furness looks like he'll finish 21st position. Justin Michael, 22nd. Patrick Gasper, 23rd. And Robert Montgomery in the number 24 spot. I'll bookend a look top to bottom at our Ford Entertainment Group midway race break. FEGPC has been serving the iRacing community with custom-built affordable computers, specifically built and tuned for iRacing. Your PC will come with everything you need preloaded so you can get racing as soon as it hits your doorstep. Get yours today and join the over 600 iRacers already running on a Ford Entertainment Group build. PCs to fit every budget from $540 and up. Go to FEGPC.net and mention code LSRTV10 to get your build quoted today. Lap number 84. Now at this point in the run, Justin, from our last restart in this race, about 40 laps removed from that point, and just under 70 laps to go means that we continue to close in maybe 10-15 laps from being halfway to the end and maybe the fuel window.
For a couple of the cars, it's going to be very close. As mentioned, there are drivers trying the two-stop. At this point, though, I think the one-stop is currently looking in terms of time the way to go, especially with the amount of drivers that have tried the said strategy. Having a hard time with that pit entry. But here's the thing. This is the wrong point for Washington to reach Ray. Ray's now got dirty air, and he's losing time to the race leader as a result.
He is. The 19 machine kind of ends up as a pick in the middle here. David Washington blending back out and kind of in the middle of all of this after he came down to the pit lane at lap number 67. So earlier pit stop for him, and I think he would have preferred not going to be able to make it distance from that point. You'd be looking at some 73 laps or 83 laps to get to the end at minimum. So I don't know if that's going to happen to the 19 car, but he is faster than both of these race leaders. So he has driven up to Freenage. He will pass him, I assume, shortly here. And then Malik Ray is not going to have that dirty air. So if the key for the 21 car is don't drop too far back in the meantime. And I mean, you can look at the speed difference. The 19 driving up to the race leader like it's nothing. That's the difference between fresh and old tires.
Yeah, if I was Freenage, just let him go on the bottom side this time by. Yep, let's buy the car in fresher tires. Ray sees an opportunity, though. And I think this is why when you look at the times, not just the checkups, they've been near even. Washington has not been as good in 1 and 2 compared to 3 and 4, even on the fresher tires. That has really helped. Malik Ray now close back up again, and they got Parrish to deal with too.
He's all in this mix that your race leaders are trying to deal with here, as that 18 machine would be next on tap with Parrish. Looks like he'll probably hold the outside, and he does. Darren Cole, by the way, down to pit road. Drop him out of the top 10 as Parrish takes the highway around to let your race leaders go on by. Kind of hurt the 21 car of Malik Ray on exit a little bit there. Wasn't able to swing it all the way wide. But the big thing is here, the 19 has now cleared both of your leaders. So 4 cars in the frame there. The only 2 that are your race leaders are the blue one of Andrew Freenage and the white, black, and red 21 of Malik Ray. And actually looks like the 18's going to, or 88, sorry, is going to go back at the 19.
I think Washington right now is off and on in terms of best times. I'm surprised that Washington's in the middle of this fight. I would have taken off, and there's a car spinning on the bottom.
No yellow, you can see it in the back there. I think it was the 4 car that was sideways. He's going to get back going. It is Paul Turner in the 4 running that U.S. Army paint scheme this evening. And let's see what the incident was there. As, we'll try to get the replay up here. He's all on his own. Again, you can see the car gets sideways. It's so deep in the quarter. Oh, I should say deep in 1, but I guess shallow in 2, Justin. It's not like these cars are braking on corner exit. It's just in the center that the back end starts to go away, and it's so hard to get it back.
Yeah, exactly. And once you lose that back end, you're basically along for the ride, especially if you get more 35 degrees onward in terms of the corner. That time, Turner, he had no hope. Even though he got close to saving it, once you reach that apron, the suspension, it slammed on down on him, and there was nothing you can do. We are seeing more cars elect to come down to the pit lane, by the way. A couple more that were on the lead lap. David Washington came down again, so he's going to be 3+ laps down. And we are just a couple laps away from the potential safe point on fuel for this race.
And we thought that maybe when we saw a lot of the cars outside of the top 5, even outside of the top 10 to come to the pit lane earlier, as you see Gidman is in for the number 3 spot, that these calls may have been made with tires in mind over the fuel, but this is pretty much closer to what we expected. 30, or actually 49 laps, I believe, removed from the restart. Gidman is down. He would have to go 59 to go the distance from this point on. But again, this is more in that ballpark that we were expecting.
Yeah, exactly right now. And I'm curious to see if he's going to make it. I think he's going to be decent. Might have to say for a couple laps. But he is more towards that green area compared to some of the other cars that have had to pit. Darren Cole might be just outside of the green area, for example. But as we're approaching the pit stops for the lead cars, it looks like Freenosh is just elected to check out. He's gained a couple tenths in the past couple laps.
And this may influence Malik Ray to come down to the pit lane sooner than later. I think the idea with Galen Gideman coming down to the pit lane, again, he was significantly off your race leaders as they had broken away. Daniel Eberhard had trailed off. Again, he was part of that top 3 breakaway, but he's now 6 seconds behind Freenosh Ray after he nearly dumped his car to turn 2, and that kind of ruined this run for him. But I think Gideman's going to go for the undercut here. The fastest lap by your race leader, Andrew Freenosh, was a 31.56. Last time by a 31.9, so almost 2 seconds of fall off. Gidman and everybody else who has already pitted is going to be running those 1.5 to 2 seconds faster than the cars that have yet to pit every single time. 5 laps out there, 10 seconds of on-track time. Now, keep in mind, when the cars who are still out do pit, the advantage will go back in their favor, but not surprised that some drivers trying to undercut the race leaders. It is a little bit of a gamble to go a lap down right now with how out of control some of these cars are. You catch a yellow, you're trapped. But if it works out, it could pay big dividends.
Exactly, if you get the caution right at when you want it to be, if we do get one, I should note, you're the one who's going to be in front of the air cars, and likely in a situation where they'll have to come down and get fresh rubbers. Right now, though, it's still a bit of a gamble if we go green, because there's the chance that the 2 fastest cars on the track, which have been these 2 machines, might be able to run you down before the end of this race if it goes green. So you have to weigh the benefits as well as the potential risks and think, am I going to win this race by doing the same thing over and over, or do I try something different and see if that completely works? They call that insanity if you try and do the same thing over and over. These drivers not wanting to do that tonight.
Well, everybody's got their idea of what's going to give them an opportunity to win this race. Of course, in these special events like tonight's Salute to Veterans 225, there are no points on the line. It's just to go out there, have a good time in a race. And of course, if you win, we mentioned the entry fees divided amongst the donations to the charity and as well to the payout. 60% of the purse, so about $87 worth, is going to go to the race winner. Second place, third place also going to get some cash, and then there is a randomly drawn finisher who will get equal pay to the third place finisher. So, incentive for not only the top running cars, but everybody in the field to go out there and put their best foot forward.
Yeah, absolutely right now. So, of course, you want to do well in a race, especially for a good cause. But a little change does help go a little bit of a long way. We did see a lot of drivers actually increase their donations for tonight's race, as high as $80+ amongst some of them, because of the cause, to want to raise funds for charity, because they knew how important raising funds for the Gary Sinise Foundation was for tonight's race. As cars are pitting around them, Champagne just pit.
Champagne will trickle down out of the running order. The number 38 machine pretty quietly as well, as had cycled up to P6 through this exchange. He comes down to pit road, and now your race leaders have done the bulk of the work. They're more than halfway through the fuel run. It's almost a game of chicken, I think, between Freenosh and Ray for who will come down to the pit lane first. They're on each other's bumpers down through 3 and 4. Every time the cars are so slow where they bobble a little bit in the center of the quarter adjust, that I keep thinking to myself, well, they're coming in this time. That's why the car is so slow, but it's just them being very careful and soft back onto the throttle. But it's got to happen at some point.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Right now, Ray's in the preferred opportunity because he's so close to Freenosh's back bumper that he can duck down himself, and Freenosh might not be able to react. Depending on how this rest of the run goes, it's going to come down to who potentially pits first. Freenosh blinks.
He does come down. He comes down from the race lead. Malik Ray took the high line that time. Curious if the 88 indicated that he was going to be coming in that time, because Malik Ray moved up. They were bumper to bumper last time. That would not have worked if it was the case this time through. So Freenosh is on to pit road as this longest green flag run of the night continues. Let's look for the 88 to execute clean into pit stall number 3. A little bit sideways, but he is in the box. No doubt the call is going to be for foreign fuel. And Malik Ray is in for the lead, but he bobbles. Malik Ray is all kinds of out of shape on the pit road.
Yeah, he tried to charge that pit entry hard. The thing is, he got loose all the way in turn 3 while trying to get up on the brakes. And he started hitting that bump that's around the middle of the pit entry, right about here. That starts to kick you a bit sideways. Just barely, though, got it down to speed and is now into his stall. Man, that was a bit dicey there.
He was able to get inside of the cone, so he's not going to accrue any penalties. It also did look like that he was able to get down to pit road speed of 50 miles an hour. He's got his 4 tires. He is off and away. You're watching that baby blue number 88 of Andrew Friedage, who is already up to speed on the apron in turn number 1 and 2. You'll see the 21 of Malik Ray, who's going to try to cut the corner a little bit to get some speed. He'll blend back up. He's in front for the moment, but the momentum carries Andrew Friedage on around, and he will cycle back to what will be the net race lead. They're behind a couple of cars because a lot of cars undercut them on the pit stops.
Yeah, Gidman undercut him by 6 seconds in total as Rocky Boyd, hello. Some lap traffic going to still be in a factor here the rest of this run for the rest of these cars. But Gidman, it's going to be curious. How long can he hold on to this race lead? He's losing about a 10th every 5 seconds.
But that's obviously going to be what the great equalizer in all of this is the fact that, as I mentioned, he was able to drive by the race leaders, put down faster laps. That's why he passed the ball. But he's now running about a second and a half slower than the fresh tires, which now sit on board the Friedage, Ray, and Eberhardt machines. The 90 car, I think, is really a driver in the field here, as next time by will take 45 laps to go. But would love a caution flag. Basically, a do-over after he had been a part of that top 3 battle all night long. The car got sideways. He made a good save down and onto the apron, but it has eviscerated his chance to fight for the lead. Sitting some 5 seconds behind as now we fight for P2 in a fight that may become the battle for the race lead. Malik Ray to the inside of Friedage with a lot of traffic in front, and there's contact. Friedage takes a shot, and he's into the outside wall.
And that's not going to be a happy one there. Getting a bit close on the right rear was Friedage, and just a very tiny tap sends that 88 car shooting up the racetrack. Man, I don't think that's how Ray wanted to get that done. And Friedage, I think he's going to understand a bit when he looks back at the tape, but man, that's a hard way to lose a lot of time and potentially damage your engine now. He has severely damaged the right front.
And it was the bumps. I mean, I took a look on board with him. You could see the car rock through the center of the corner. And when the car is bouncing like that, it's literally hopping up the hill. Doesn't matter if you give it some more wheel. It just pushes and pushes. And, I mean, he only moved up about a half a car length. But the 88 car was driving his door, trying to side draft a little bit to begin with. We've seen Friedage go for the side draft already many times tonight. That limits that margin for error. These two drivers have driven so close to each other, whether it had been side by side or bumper to bumper just all night. It was very clear that they had a lot of respect and trust in one another, and in no way was that intentional on the part of Malik Ray, as he's been able to get around the one of Galen Gidman now, and pretty much uncontested now, goes to the race lead.
Yeah, that time 1.6 seconds quicker, but man, right now if you're Friedage though, you are hoping you definitely get a caution now, because I think for any chance to happen now for that 88 machine, especially with that right side damage and that hard hit, you need to fix all of the damage. Or else, you're going to not just not be in contention for the win. There's a chance I think he's going to be passed by Eberhardt and a few others.
We'll see how far Gidman does drop down the running order, Justin, but with still 40 laps to go in this race, we are going to reach the point again where these race cars get really ugly. And, you know, when they start to get sideways and slip and slide around, there's always a chance that this race does not stay green through our distance of 150 laps. But so many storylines, the comers and the goers. I mean, Gidman's going to be followed back because of the tires. Farinaj is probably going to drop out of the money because of the damage to that car. Again, it wasn't the shot to the left-hand side that hurt him. It was the fact that, again, he wasn't able to complete the corner and hit the outside wall pretty hard. You're going to see Daniel Eberhardt here in 4th position take 3rd away from the 88, and Andrew's not even going to fight him for it. He'll duck down to the inside and let the Donnie car go on through.
Yeah, he is definitely down on horsepower. He was about 5 to 10 miles an hour slower off the exit of turn number 2. So it's going to sting. Yes, it's going to absolutely sting, but here's the thing. This is a charity race for a good cause. And at this point, that's what Andrew, I think, will probably say is that's the more important thing overall. Yes, he was in contention, but now it's just about finishing the race, all in the name of charity here, coming to 38 laps to go in this one.
This one's closed it in on the end, and now it's just kind of, we know the lay of the land. We've talked to everybody through the
trouble,
strategy.
turn 3. And Jade Bell's in the wall.
No yellow, though. We're going to stay green. He's going to dive to the apron in the 14 to stay out of it, and there was contact on this one. He was trying to get around the 52, no, the 25 car of Rocky Boyd. You'll see it here, and kind of a weird block. That was not to battle for position. Boyd was a lap down, and it may have not been a block, just that it may have been with the 25 runner been a lane off. Watch this onboard. I think Boyd thought that Bell was going to try to see that small opening on the outside. I think he thought he was going to go high, and they both went low at the same time. I don't know. It looks like, because he doesn't, if it was blocking him, just block him down to the apron. He only moved down about half a lane, but that was enough for Bell to get into him. I really think the 25 just moved down to give the 14 the top as he was coming about on the outside. You'll see him down the back. See, it's only about a half a lane. He doesn't block him all the way down. Either way, though, that's an avoidable incident, and Jade Bell's now down on pit road.
Yeah, now his car is completely demolished, and day is done for that veteran, unfortunately. But one thing we do need to know, remember the first caution flag? Bell was the one who initiated that, and the car that ended up he had to make contact with there in Rocky Boyd was the one who went up and over. So, by the way, second place has changed hands.
His second will swap out as Daniel Eberhardt has gotten around Caleb Gidman. And again, no surprise there with the difference on the tires, as Eberhardt is running about 0.7 of a second faster per lap. Again, that was about a second and a half right when these cars got fresh rubber. So the interval is going to start to come down. So maybe Gidman can stay ahead of, maybe got a top 5 car in it still, with Kamer being about another 6 seconds down the road from him. That may be possible. Also, Farinaj closing in on Gidman. Despite the hit to the outside wall, the 88 might actually still be able to snag a spot back before this race is done to get back into the top 3.
Yeah, with the older tires of Gidman, even with the damage, he is still a 1/10 of a second quicker. But at this point, Ray, with all of that, is just absolutely checked out. Ahead by 10 plus seconds compared to where Freenach is out of the racetrack. 7 seconds ahead plus in the race lead, and just lapped his way up past the 6th position of Eric Stanford you see in the backdrop. So Ray has just completely taken off. Plus, you can see some of the shade. The track is starting to cool down. We started in the 110s. We're down to its coolest point in 97 degrees Fahrenheit. For the local time, already to just about 7 o'clock. So this is the most amount of grip you're going to have all night, and Ray is thriving in it.
Is certainly doing his job. We talked about the drivers playing the long con, trying to fight for the race win, maybe not just this one position off of this one restart, and that has certainly proven to be the case. I can't help but feel that if Farinaj was still in this, he would have something for Malik Ray, but I still feel like, regardless, that Malik Ray is not going to be credited. Although maybe with 31 laps still to go, that number will get high enough. It'll double it, so actually he will, but at least at the moment, not with the most laps led.
Oh, car spinning!
Dominant, and there it is, a caution. It is Emmanuel Wolf on the front straightaway. The 15 car around on his own, and it's a whole new ball game inside of 40 to go.
Well, everything just went out the window. He tried to run that high line. The thing is, while it's been good for a few laps, eventually that right rear tire starts to overcook. Just that bobble off the corner exit while trying to save the drift. Sends him towards the wall and ends up spinning him all the way around like a bottle top. So this has completely just shaken up this entire race. Everyone can make it on fuel, and this helps Andrew be able to fix that damage from the incident.
He will have an opportunity if he wants to give up positions on a pit road, which I think is kind of a no-doubter here, because when everybody closes back in, he'll be at a disadvantage. The question is, how much damage can he get fixed? The benefit is there's only 5 cars at a lead lap, 3 cars a lap down who are available to take a wave by, so it could be pretty much, I think, the right call. It will be the right call to get the damage repaired, but Malik Ray is going to have a big advantage, having led by some 8 seconds over Eberhardt before the yellow flag came out onto pit road. We were just on pit road not that long ago, but based on the fall off, I think the easy call is 4 tires.
You have to take the 4 tires unless you want to bobble around on the corner egg tree and or get swallowed up a la peak race Las Vegas back in the spring of this year. And Andrew taking it nice and slow, knowing he's going to get this damage repaired. He's only going to lose a spot or 2 overall. That's the main thing, though, because Stanford's going to get that lucky dog. However, this is the perfect time, as mentioned, because if he's got significant damage, he can come down a couple times, get as much of it fixed as he can. He might not be able to recover engine damage, but he'll be able to at least recover something. If he elects to come on the racetrack, he did jump out of the car.
That is an option as everybody blends back out. It is still Ray, followed by Eberhardt, Gidman, Kamer, and Stanford, of course, with Andrew Friedage deciding to sit on the pit lane there and get the damage fixed. There's other cars that have gotten kind of beat up, Justin, over the course of this one that are down pit road. Dylan C. Jones, Fremke, and some of the other guys, but the way by looks like Jensen and Stanford to bite on that, so 7 might be our magic number.
Remember, Stanford was the lucky dog. Jensen is the only car that looks like who might be even considering this to get it back on the lead lap. Champagne can only get to 1 lap down if the calculations are right with this wave around, give or take. And that's even a gamble because it's about 20-30 lap difference. That's a massive amount of fall off, and you have to hope for a quick caution, or else you're going to potentially fall a lap down just before the checkered flag.
And this is kind of the point, you know, we talk about Friedage wanting to get the damage fixed. He sat down to pit road for as long as he could. The race leaders were coming on by. He drove out of the pit lane as to not lose that lead lap, and I would not be shocked if he comes back in this time for more. So obviously that shows us that he's got several minutes of optional repairs. There are, in this race, no fast repairs, so you can't just come in to get a brand new race car. You got to sit down there and work on it, and he does come immediately back down to pit road. He's not going to have nearly as much time this time to sit, because again, the leader's already on the back straightaway, but he is obviously committed to getting this race car as close to 100% as possible, maybe anticipating that this isn't going to be as simple as a restart with 25 to go or whatever at a run to the end. If you're looking at maybe multiple restarts, you do want a race car that is going to be able to bite on those very short runs.
You want a race car that is as close to mint as you can, even with the damage at this point, though, because you've seen how much speed he was losing with the even amount of tires. With the restart, there's the chance he loses just about all of them, except for the wave around cars, if he doesn't keep himself right. So, you got to fix the damage as much as you can. Try and get as much of the horsepower you can get back, fix some of the aero damage if you can, and make sure you don't lose a lap while fixing that said damage, because the lights are on top of the pace car, and he is going to elect to stay in the pits this time and follow a lap down.
If Friedage does not cycle back out, he is going to be put a lap down. Again, maybe feeling like he needs all of this damage repaired. Of course, if he falls a lap down as he has, he only has to race against Darren Cole for the potential lucky dog if we do see another yellow. What a turn of events for Friedage, who is not actively on the racetrack. As we get set for a restart, it'll come with 123 laps down and 27 still to go for the virtual Las Vegas Motor Speedway in this fast-forward esports. Salute to veterans, 225. Malik Ray and then maybe Daniel Everhart shot at redemption as the 90s on the outside of the front row. It is a Gidman Kamer second row, third, fourth. Highest in the running order we have seen either of those race car drivers so far this evening. When the pace car goes in, the 21 gets to dictate when this one goes back underway with less than 30 laps to go. From Las Vegas, it's Malik Ray's field to control on the inside line. He'll hold them at pit road speed, 60 miles an hour, green flag in the air, and a lot of tire spin for Everhart on the outside.
And look at that fight for second. That is exactly what Ray wants to see. A chance to pull away with the clean air, not have to deal with anyone fighting behind for his position. And Everhart with that bad start already back to third position. And Gidman is going to block him down the backstretch a bit.
Tries to protect the inside line, so the Donnie's going to look to the outside in this fight for number 2 spot. One car pushes up on a quarter exit, so the challenge comes now to the outside. Everhart may be more comfortable up on the outside, and the one car either dropped out of it or just let the Donnie go, but all of a sudden it's a breeze, and Everhart is back to second.
So Everhart now needs to show this is his chance to redeem himself. He is very comfortable on low downforce packages with these NASCAR stock car machines. And tonight, he is looking like a man on a mission once again. He just gained a 10th that time by the way, his own teammate Andrew Freenach, remember him following a lap down to get the damage repaired? He's now the lucky dog position driver.
That's big for Freenach. He's banking based on that. Again, wanted to stay on the pit lane for the extra repairs instead of leaving some repairs on the table to stay on the lead lap. He needs a yellow to get that wave by if he wants to get back and into the conversation. Last lap, Daniel Everhart, fastest car on the racetrack, as he closes in the number 2 position on Malik Ray, giving it 110%. This time by as well, he'll take another 10th of a second out of the margin as Everhart tries to threaten Malik Ray.
Again, fastest car on the racetrack again, and Everhart at the end of the practice session preparing for tonight's charity race. His fastest laps, he went from the top 5 on a hot track, but when the sun started to go behind some clouds, he shot up the boards. He is feeling very comfortable, it looks like, with this grip. He's able to hold onto the throttle a little bit more on corner exit, not having to baby it a little bit compared to when you have to on a hot track, like in the 110s at the start of this race. And this track has gone his way at the right time for him to pounce.
Currently trying to take advantage of this. Without the yellow, he would have finished in the number 3 or 4 position, almost double-digit seconds off of the fight for the race lead. We thought that with Freenach dropping out, who, by the way, has gotten back that lucky dog position tentatively by passing Cole, but does not have race-winning speed, about 4 to 5 tenths slower than your race leaders are running. I know he does have a bit of traffic, but that tells me that even if Freenach can get the wave by, he's going to be fighting for a top 5 spot, not for the race win. This one is going to come down to these 2 drivers. 21 to go this time for the 21 of Malik Ray, who continues to see that 90 car getting bigger and bigger in the rearview mirror.
And the times are starting to equalize a little bit. The fresher air from Ray starting to help him pick up more speed compared to the draft and dirty air of Everhart. And it's going to get a bit more tougher. With the, of course, in the past year across the iRacing service, the effective dirty air and aero push has continued to increase these cars. It's not as much as the cup machines, but you are still going to have difficulty to pass. You're going to have to be near perfect if you're Everhart. That time, he nearly clept the apron and bobbled and lost himself half a tenth.
That's not going to be good for the Nani. It's a little bit of an awkward entry into turn number 1. He entered a bit shallow and ran that higher line through the center. It looks like they're going to be pretty much equal on speed down to turn number 4. 189 for Everhart, and also 189 top speed that time for Malik Ray. So, I mean, the 90 is so close. We talked about the margins when Malik Ray would fight with Freenach, and when it was those 2 plus Everhart early, that they could just kind of line up with each other and run away from everybody else. And they have gone side by side. They have battled, but those fights have been relatively unconsequential. They've all pretty much had opportunities to run out front, to lead laps, to tuck in line, and to challenge. Well, at this point, there is no more hanging back and conserving the race car. This is the fight for the race win tonight, and we're seeing everything these drivers have as they both work the apron.
Eberhard much more better this time by, was again the fastest car. I think Eberhard's got the speed. He's just got to make sure he doesn't make a mistake at the wrong time. He's also found something that works right now to give him some short run speed here. He's trying to ramp it a bit from about the third line in turn 1 and 2 to get to the second line in 3 and 4, and that's working for him. That's been able to fix his weakest part of the racetrack compared to how he's been in 3 and 4 all night.
Almost in the grass that time. He was trying to shortcut the air by as much as possible. And again, that 90 still likes a little bit higher to avoid the bumps in 1 and 2. They're both going to run right up against the fence. Let's compare the lines now down into 3 to 4 as they've started to gap Galen Gitteben from third. He's a second behind. I still think that's close enough if they start fighting for the race lead to join the party, as they both ran the bottom down at that end.
Yeah, dead even on speed just about on the front stretch in through 3 and 4. If Eberhard's going to have a chance to make a move, it's going to have to come through turns 1 and 2, or at least a run from this section of the track. This time he was able to get the diamond that helped him a little bit more. This time, though, didn't even gain him an ounce on the track.
It doesn't help, and you can see, he's trying everything. Daniel Eberhard is not concerned about saving tires for the final 5. He's worried about the here and now, which is 15 laps to go. With every waking lap, these drivers and those race cars become a little bit more to handle, a little more uncooperative. And you can see even Malik Ray there. That car's pushing visibly sooner in turn 2 than it had been, obviously, with the fresher tires and earlier off for the restart. The gap is now just half a car length. It's the closest it's been since we went back green, but the 90 sideways. He just got into the shadow of the 21 there, but the back end couldn't hold.
He's been trying to push a little bit more earlier on corner exit in 3 and 4. In the past 5 or 6 laps, you may have noticed, to gain that little extra hundredth for the front stretch. That time, I think he just pushed a bit too hard, and now this is where, if you're pushing so hard, you're going to burn your tires quick, right? And as mentioned, it's a loose fix set, meaning you're going to snap loose. And if you snap loose, majority of the night, it's been in 3 and 4. That time, he had another bobble.
And this is going to be the issue for the 90, is he can close it in to that car length, even at times just half a car length for the race lead. But when you're that close on the bumper, there's just nothing on the front end of that race car to keep it glued to the racetrack. You're going to have to sort of deviate that line again. I think it would benefit him if he could keep a run through 4 and make the attempt down in 1 and 2. 3 and 4 is not where the 90 is going to appreciate it, and Malik Ray that time was the one who bobbled it. So the 90 car will hold the outside. This is what he wants, a run into turn 1. He'll take that higher line, which means that he'll get it back into the throttle sooner, but Malik Ray drives it in so deep, and he was able to make it stick. What a corner.
And Eberhard nearly tapped the outside wall trying to avoid the safer barrier on the corner exit. He pushed so hard. So these guys are right at the edge of the limit. They do have lap cars ahead, though, Evan, by just about 10-15 car lengths or so. Those are the only 2 lap cars that are within range at the 10 laps to go mark next time by.
And of course, this race going to drive down to the very end. We had thought that it was going to be a couple of cars in it, then all of a sudden it looked like it was in the back pocket for Malik Ray, but I'll tell you what, he has a huge upper hand in that track position right now over Eberhard. I wouldn't be surprised that if this was a role reversal, Eberhard would be doing the same thing, making it hard on the 21. A lot of lapped cars now in front of your leaders. The 14's going to stay high. A little bit of a late move, but the 25 goes high also. It'll give both of your leaders, though, a bad entry into turn 1.
Thing is, though, Ray, he might be able to use Boyd as a pick, yes. That lost a little bit of time for Eberhard as he tried to check up because Boyd the third was tapping the outside wall.
He was right up against the fence. The Nani car was so fortunate he didn't actually get up and into it and bounce down the racetrack and make contact. That's close quarters race, and as Everhart's back on him, he doesn't want to, or at least seems less inclined to be making those drives down onto the apron. 5 laps ago, he wasn't shy about putting the left side tires right to the grass. Now, he wants to avoid it, try to be a little bit more smooth down at this end of the racetrack as they continue to trade blows here. 90 car again just doesn't have a lot to work with down at this end, but a very good corner for Everhart, one of his best in 4. Just lost it a bit there on exit.
And they're going to have to avoid a car in the grass. That's Darren Cole. They just barely missed him. That took away the apron that time by.
Yeah, he was right on the apron there. He spun on his own. Lap 140 for him. So no caution, thankfully. We stay green. Somehow, that didn't trigger a yellow, and you can see the onboard shot there. There's the trouble in front with another car now, down and onto the apron. He got sideways, so that was a double whammy there of 2 cars nearly wrecked it. The race leaders couldn't go to the apron. Lap traffic's been a big factor the last few laps as the Nani car continues to try to find a gap in the armor.
And that would have been near disaster. He was trying to get out of the way for the race leaders. Doesn't affect the battle, though. They are still scrapping it out, coming to 6 laps to go. Eberhard trying to give a shot to Ray last time off of turn 4. It might come down to a bit of contact because Eberhard, I think he feels he's faster.
Well, he's certainly had a good run the last couple of laps. He's on the bumper of the 21 of Malik Ray, but again, not going down to the bottom. I wonder if that 21 car's feeling a bit more defensive. That's why he feels like it's necessary to go down there and scoop up the thousandths, if not hundredths of a second that are available.
And Eberhard, that time bobbled loose again off of turn 2. Just hit the gas a bit too hard, and that just lost him a ton of ground. Coming up 5 to go, Evan.
It'll stretch it to 3.5, 4 car lengths. Malik Ray also cut it very close with the wall, who I was taking an eye on there, but he didn't really get loose. That's just by design. Used it every single inch of the racetrack. He falls 2/10 back. That may be too much for Everhart to make up. It took him so long to finally get to the rubber of the 21. He needs 4 really good laps here.
And don't forget that the 3rd and 4th place cars, they've been slowly closing in on these machines too. So if these 2 drivers fight for too long for 1st and 2nd, keep an eye on Gidman and Kamer. They have been actually quicker than Ray and Eberhart for the past 3 to 5 laps or so.
And they had been losing time. They dropped to as much as 1.5 seconds behind, but once your race leaders started battling as we expected, they were able to start to close the gap back in. They're still 8/10 away. I don't think they're going to be close enough unless something happens with your race leaders. The 4 of Paul Turner on the horizon, lap traffic that they're going to have to work around it. Everhart has made up a car length, and here's a big run now. Malik Ray bobbled out of turn 4. 3 laps to go this time by, and Everhart's back within a car length.
And that just helped reel in P3 2 more tenths. And that's going to be a potential factor. Will Ray use Turner as a pick? No, Turner gets out of the way.
He'll get out of the way for the leaders. The Nani car of Everhart sees now Gidman and Kamer closing in 3rd and 4th position, as Everhart may have thrown it away in 1 and 2 with that big slide again. Malik Ray will see popsicle sticks in the air, and the advantage of 4/10 is the biggest he's had since the restart. Here's Gidman now to the inside for 2nd, not gonna stick.
And that's what Ray wants to see. He wants the fight for 2nd to go on so he can pull away. He just gained about another 10th down the backstretch.
And contact now with a 5 in the 1 car. Gidman's gonna get sent after Kamer got into him. A big slide, but a save coming to the white flag.
Heck of a save for both of these drivers, but this race is official, Evan. Ray up by 7/10 of a second. That one move into turn 1 and 2 lost Eberhart about 3/10 as they fight for 3rd.
It's a dogfight for third, and there is already contact, so there may be some more. Gidman to the inside of Kamer. They're going to race side by side down the Nellis straightaway into 3 and 4 for the final time as Gidman looks to get a nose in front, but in front of them, it is Malik Ray in the 21 Toyota, who is the best of them all tonight, and Ray wins the Salute to Veterans 225.
An absolutely crazy one as he tries to drift it. Tokyo Drift style, so to speak, but a heck of a run for Ray. One of the fastest cars all night. Really didn't leave the top 3 most of this evening. But man, oh man, that fight for third was something to watch heading the final lap and a half too.
And as we picked up Ray off for the quarter, I mentioned that it was Gidman with the nose in front. Kamer was unable to get that speed off for the corner to close it back in. So that is the order that they finished. As you see up top, Ray, Eberhardt, Gidman, Kamer, and Stanford, your top 5. The top 3 pay out, and it is the Richmond Raceway Esports driver, Malik Ray, who's burning it down on the front straightaway. The winner in this Salute to Veterans 225, benefiting the Gary Sinise Foundation and put on by Fast Forward Esports. Great night of action.
Absolutely, some crazy moments and some great racing, however, throughout the entire field. Lots of different battles, and that top 3 was something definitely to watch for. With Eberhardt, Ray, and Freenosh before the troubles and some of the attrition started to kick in. Great job by the entire field this evening.
So as the 21 takes his Polish victory lap, we will take a quick opportunity to step aside. And when we come back, we'll talk with your top finishers and put a bookend on a great night of action. You've been watching LSR TV's coverage of the Fast Forward Esports Salute to Veterans 225. Post-race action is next from Las Vegas Motor Speedway, where Malik Ray is your winner tonight.
Here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Will it be Tim Hogan? It's going to be Christopher DeMerrick at the line.
And back live from the virtual Las Vegas Motor Speedway, where LSR TV's coverage of the Fast Forward Esports Salute to Veterans 225, benefiting the Gary Sinise Foundation, continues tonight on your home for sim racing and the iRacing Esports Network. Happy that you're with us. Evan Pasoko, Justin Branson, Randy Cheneth along with you for post-race coverage. We'll go trackside, talk with your top finishers in just a moment. Before we do so, let's take a look top to bottom at tonight's Ford Entertainment Group full race results. Malik Ray is headed to victory lane this evening, pocketing the purse of what I believe is upwards of $87 for the winner this evening. Eberhardt second, Gidman third. They're all in the money, and we hope to be trackside with all of them in just a few moments. Kyle Kamer fourth and Eric Stanford to round out your top 5. Continuing on through, Oscar Jensen played his cards and ends up being tonight's hard charger. He goes to P6 and a final car on the lead lap is Justin Champagne. Andrew Ferdinand unable to overcome some late damage and lost a lap, never got that yellow to get back into it. He's the lone driver, a lap down in 8th position. Darren Cole drops down 2 in 9th, and David Washington rounds out your top 10.
Noah Maori finished in 11th position tonight, 4 laps down, along with Tony Boyd, who had a roller coaster evening, a couple times sliding down the pit lane. Emmanuel Wolf finished 5 laps down in 13th, with Jade Bell in 14th position. Paul Turner, 14 laps down in P number 15. Rocky Boy III recovered from flipping upside down to finish in 16th, 33 laps down. Shane Parrish finished 17th, Dylan C. Jones in 18th, with Jake Fromke in 19th after a wild run. Rounding out the top 20 is Dewara, 87 laps down.
And then to round out the field this evening, again, the rest of these cars out of it before it made the distance. John Furness comes home 21st with Justin Michael 22nd, Patrick Gasper 23rd, and Robert Montgomery, who actually ends up getting the lucky draw. He'll walk away with 3rd place equivalents of money also. 24 was the random number. He's the bookend in position 24. That's been a look top to bottom at your Ford Entertainment Group full race results. FEG PC has been serving the iRacing community with custom-built affordable computers specifically built and tuned for iRacing. Your PC will come with everything you need preloaded so you can get racing as soon as it hits your doorstep. Get yours today and join the over 600 iRacers already enjoying a Ford Entertainment Group PC. PCs to fit every budget from $540 and up. Go to fegpc.net and mention code LSRTV10 to get your builds quoted today. Let's kick things off, Justin, trackside with second place finisher tonight, the 90 car of Daniel Eberhardt. You're trackside with him.
Yes, indeed, Daniel Eberhardt was trying as hard as he could to win tonight's charity race, but in the end, he just couldn't get the move done. Got close a couple times. Daniel, first of all, let's talk about the difficulty, because you had to recover from a spin when you were a part of that top 3 group, but it came down to you and Ray at the checker flag.
Yeah, I enjoyed the race a lot. I mean, I had a couple of mistakes on pit road throughout the race, and really cost me a couple spots on, exit of pit road. But other than that, the car was the best car I've ran on here in 3 years. I mean, putting it back in the driver's hands, that's what everybody wants. But I guess the A car wants to go a different way, which is the Cup car. For people who don't know, that are just watching to be watching. But this car was just so much fun tonight. It was on rails for about the first 15 laps, and then the last, handful of laps for the end of the race, the car is just edgy, and that's really what everybody really wants.
Yeah, it looked like that. A couple times, though, the edginess got you a little bit loose. You were the fastest car on the racetrack and the entire night at some points. How difficult was it to try and make the move on Ray?
You got to really time it, and he had a couple of mistakes. He hit the apron on the white line, and I did it a lot during the race. The car just had a point there in a little ways into the run where it would just want to turn really good through 3 and 4, and 3 and 4 was the most treacherous part all night. It's like 1 and 2, you could keep your RPMs up, and if you let your RPMs drop and you try to pick up the throttle to keep your speed, it just breaks the rear end around, and the right rear is just chasing the left front the whole time. But he had a couple mistakes, and I was there, and you just have to be able to time it, and he just did a good job holding his line and keeping enough momentum up off the 4 to where I couldn't really drag race him or get up beside him down the front straightaway.
It was a good fight between you two at the end of this race. Guys like Gidman also tried to peek their way into the top 2 before that checker flag started to fly. But, of course, tonight, a charity race. And that's one of the main things. $230 plus was raised tonight for the Gary Sinise Foundation. You get $29 from the winner's pool. But, of course, let's talk about, in your opinion, the importance of charity, especially raising funds for veterans for tonight's race.
Yeah, I love doing events like this and charities, and Ross Cato put on a great thing tonight, and I thought it was just really good hearted of him to put on this race for veterans. Veterans don't get enough credit at all. I feel like we kind of take them guys for granted. They're overseas, over abroad, and they're just you know, that's their job, but at the end of the day, you know, they signed up for it, and we need to just pay a little bit more respect than we do for people like that, because, you know, you don't ever know if they're going to come home the next week, you know, and they have family and children and everything else, and, you know, this is for them. This is paying respects to them, because America wouldn't be what it is today if we didn't have them guys over there fighting for their lives and fighting for us.
Before we let you go, is there anyone you want to thank for being a part of your race tonight?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Ross Cato for putting this thing on. He's just a great-hearted guy, and he's got a good thing going for him right here with the league he's trying to run, Fast Forward Esports. And I'd like to thank you guys for broadcasting the race for him. And I'd like to thank everybody on No Name Motorsports, Dave Washington, Andrew Freenage, Dylan Jones, Kyle Kamer, Eric Stanford, and my girlfriend who watches each and every race, whether I'm racing RSR or racing this tonight. And thank the good Lord above.
Thank you very much for the time. Congratulations on the second place finish.
Thank you, Justin.
That was Daniel Eberhardt coming away second tonight in this evening's charity event. Evan, back to you.
I think we're going to be able to go trackside and catch up with tonight's race winner down in victory lane from the virtual Las Vegas Motor Speedway. It is Malik Ray on top of tonight's Salute to Veterans 225. Malik, congratulations. You were kind of in a big three battle there tonight, the likes of Daniel Eberhardt and Andrew Fridas throughout, and there were a couple of yellows at restarts. It is the 21 car in victory lane tonight. Congrats.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. That was a lot of fun.
Tell us kind of the plan of attack, per se, coming into this one. We were talking about it as well on the broadcast. Not a huge series, no points on the line. It's just kind of a one-off event to be able to come in here and not only get the race win, but as well support a great cause this evening. And, well, you guys were fast all night. Maybe, I don't know if you hid the speed or what in practice, but once you got the cue, you kind of put it on and never looked back.
Yeah, so whenever I was in the race, I was just trying to make sure that like just ride in second or third. I didn't really care if I was like in the lead up until like after the last pit stop, because I saw early on that me and Drew and Daniel were all like pretty much the same speed for the first 25 to 30 laps. So I didn't mind if I was just in second or third, because I was just sitting behind them, just trying to save my stuff.
We saw at a couple of points there you were in front of that three-car tango and then kind of dropped back and into behind. But at the end there was no letting Daniel get back through. You wanted to defend that race lead. He would close into the bumper, get a little bit sideways, drop back to 5 car lengths, and that happened a couple of times. Just walk us through those final 10 laps or so.
The last 10 laps I was very loose, because I had I believe the first like 20 or so, or like 15, I tried to drive really hard because I was trying to get like a gap between me and him, and I wasn't trying to have him like anywhere close to me, and then like that was really hurting me in the last like 10 laps, because I was just dying on the exit of the corners, and he would have a really good run, and then he'd get loose, and then he'd fall back, and then he'd catch back up to me, because his drive off was just a lot better than mine, because he had taken care of his tires. But at the end there, I was just able to just hold him off, because I guess he kept getting too loose on the exit of the corner, and I was able to bring it home for the dub.
We were talking about how these Xfinity Series cars were going to be fun for us to watch and a handful for you guys to handle with the track temps the way they were tonight, and put on a great show for us as you end up in victory lane tonight at LVMS. We'll let you jet out of here, Malik, but anybody want to say hi to while we've got you?
Richmond, Sunoco, and FEG, and Ross for putting this on, and you guys for broadcasting. I really appreciate all you guys. It means a lot to be able to be able to be a part of this event and raise money for a very good cause.
Well, happy to have partnered up with the folks at Fast Forward Esports to put this on. Malik, also happy that you were part of it as well. We appreciate your time. Again, congrats on the win, and hopefully we'll catch you soon.
All right, Tim. I'll see you later, man.
The race winner tonight from LVMS, Malik Ray, gets it done in the number 21 Toyota Supra, winning the Salute to Veterans 225. The third car late in this one was Galen Gidman and Justin. What a battle that was for third, coming to the end. You're with the drive of the one car.
Yes, indeed. In fact, towards the end of the race, right up to when he reached Eberhard, he had been the fastest car on the racetrack. How would you describe your race tonight?
I would describe my race as about 3 laps too short. Man, I had a great time out there. I was able to get some practice in before it started and played with some things that I kind of felt like helped me on the long run. I'm not always that great on the long run, actually, but at least found for myself that I could run a little bit lower than the typical Las Vegas line, and to me that kind of helped save the right rear. So I've been short filling it all night a little bit for handling and kind of had everything where I wanted it the last run, but just a couple laps too short.
Before I get to my next question, just out of curiosity, how much fuel were you putting in the car? Because I've heard of that concept before, but it hasn't been used as much in recent years.
Yeah, I haven't actually raced as much in recent years, so that's news to me. I've been doing it for a long time. I didn't know that we haven't been doing it as much lately. On the last run, I think I had 12.5 gallons in it, but I had 15 one run, and I think about 17 one run.
Okay. Now let's talk about the final 10 laps, because you, as well as Kyle Kamer, were closing in about a tenth a lap in some points. What was going through your head as you were slowly closing in on Ray and Eberhard, as they were also trying to deal with some lap traffic here and there?
Yeah, for most of the last run, I kind of assumed that Daniel and Malik would fight it out. Early in the run, I'd let Daniel go because I knew he was a lot faster than I was, and I figured kind of my only chance to win was let Daniel maybe go catch him and see if they got together. So I was just kind of rolling around waiting until the end of the race, and then the last 10 laps you could see they burnt their stuff up, and I was starting to catch them. And then at that point I looked up and I saw Kyle was also closing on me, so I was just trying to make sure I didn't have any mistakes. My car was quite a bit snugger than theirs at that point, which was really helping me, but trying to make sure that I was as efficient on my laps as I could be without letting Kyle by, and then kind of would just see what happened.
Now, of course, tonight, a charity race event, you did come away with $14.50 in terms of the prize pool. However, the bigger cause was at hand tonight for the Salute to Veterans 250. Let's talk about what, in your opinion, how important was it to raise funds for this important cause tonight?
Well, I think especially with it being Veterans Day, or not Veterans Day today, but having been there earlier this week, I think it was really great charity for us to do. I know here at Fast Forward Esports, we really want to do several of these charities and hopefully do multiple of these charity races as time goes on. And I really couldn't think of a better first charity than the Gary Sinise Foundation. We all know him from his acting, but he's done a lot of really, really good things for veterans. They do some smart home projects, a lot of really exciting stuff. So I think it was great that we were able to come out. I think we raised over 230, something like that. I know we raised a good amount of money. I mean, $14. I'm going to just donate that right back to the cause.
That's good to hear that you'll donate that money directly to the cause after tonight's race. But before we let you go, is there anyone you want to thank?
Yeah, I want to thank you guys for coming out to broadcast this. It's really cool to have an LSR TV broadcast. I want to thank Ross. I've been helping him a little bit with this league, but I mean, this is his baby and really cool to see it. It was awesome to see all these drivers come out and have a good race, and Epstein didn't kill himself.
Okay. Apologize for the last part, but thank you very much for the time. Congratulations on the third place.
Thank you.
That went a different direction I think we expected there at the end, but
well, I'll tell you what, I'll piggyback on the second to last point, talking about the other events that Fast Forward wants to participate in, and he was mentioning doing some other ones. So you can keep an eye out for similar, special events like this that we talked about. The one-offs are kind of fun to do. So they're looking to do some more in the future. That includes, obviously tonight with the Salute to Veterans 225, also some other veterans-themed causes, as well as, clean water, children's hospitals, and special needs programs. So those are the kind of things that you can look forward to with Fast Forward Esports, and encourage you to log online with them at fastforwardesports.com, also facebook.com/Fast Forward Esports, and on Twitter at Fast the number 4 WARD Racing, so Fast Forward Racing. and you can keep up to date with all the things that they'll be cooking.
Yeah, some interesting stuff with this organization, not just with the charity, but you mentioned with the series themselves in Fast 40 Esports. They really only started in 2019. But the way they've been going, especially with Galen Gidman as the director, and as mentioned, Ross Cato organizing this series, they want to raise more funds for charity. That's one of the main things that when you research the series and its race series in terms of cars it runs, one of the main focal points is focusing on raising funds for charitable causes. If you go to their own website, actually, they raise funds direct. They have 8 different charities minimum already that they are looking to raise funds for and bring awareness to. So a great organization here in 2019.
And just to bookend the way this one plays out, again, 24 different drivers joined us this evening. So as we mentioned off at the top, more than $200 of which gets donated to the Gary Sidis Foundation. And I know that Galen noted that he'll take his purse for third place this evening, which I think was $14.50 or so, and he'll donate right back that into the cause. So happy to be a part of an event that, again, Justin, not only supports a good cause, but as well, I mean, it was a good race. Again, big names out here, familiar ones, as you mentioned. If you're with us on a weekly basis here with LSR TV and the iRacing Esports Network, you'll recognize the likes of Daniel Eberhardt and the Kamer and Stanford, and of course Andrew Friedage. Well, they were mixing it up with Peak Series competitor Malik Ray. So good to see a lot of those names as well involved. And again, it's a good twofer. You get to go out and have some fun in a race, but as well do something good at the same time.
Exactly, and that's what a lot of the drivers felt good about tonight, raising funds for charity, and as well having fun tonight, knowing there wasn't, as you said, points on the line. There wasn't a championship battle on the line. It was all about just racing for fun. Yes, there was some money that you can get, but a lot of these drivers, I think, were more focused on the fact that you were also helping raise funds for veterans tonight, especially on Memorial Week. After Memorial Day just a couple days ago, it was a good race overall tonight.
And that'll do it for us here tonight for the virtual Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Happy that you've been a part of this one with us tonight. On behalf of our entire team at LSR TV, the folks at the broadcast booth at a night in and out basis, and of course for your broadcast team tonight. For myself, Evan Pasoko, for Justin Prince, and downstairs Randy Cheneth, our producer this evening, I want to thank you for tuning in and congratulate Malik Ray, who's the winner of tonight's Salute to Veterans 225. We'll catch you next time here on LSR TV and the iRacing Esports Network. Good night.